going to start down here at the bottom. So there are 3 undefined terms in geometry: point, line, and plane. And the reason why they are considered to be the undefined terms is because you can't, it's like an English class where you can't give an actual full-blown definition of a point without using the word point. Same thing with line and same thing with plane. A point and a line are used almost in every single section in geometry. Planes get talked about a little bit when we get into 3-dimensional figures, but we're going to talk about them now because we're doing the basics of geometry, so why not get into them now? So what a point is, and I'm going to do my best to try to give a definition, even though technically there is no definition for point. So what a point is, it is a location. And some people say like it's like a dot. So it's a location, it's a dot. And when we notated using an uppercase letter. And as you can see off to the right here, we are going to draw some pictures today, easy pictures. And then I am going to show you what the notation would be. So a point's a location, and we're going to be describing locations on lines and segments. But it's going to be a little dot. You should have graphed last year, and you would have had to graph a point in a coordinate plane, and then maybe graphed another one and connected it. So a point literally just looks like this. There's a point, and there's always an uppercase letter next to it. Or you could have a line, and they could put a point on that line. So you could have a point just like randomly out in space with but it will have a capital letter next to it. If they ever have a lowercase letter, that's not technically a point. It could be a line. And these are like the little itty bitty things that get really important as we work through these, the little things like a capital letter versus a lowercase letter. But this is a point on this line. So to notate it, this right here, you could call this point A. You could actually write out the word point. If you ever forget the notation, you could always just write out the word. Some of you will probably go that route, and that's fine. Or if you remember the notation, which for this one is really easy, you could, for this one, if I wanted to name this point right here B, if I put one capital letter, it's known to me and to those who know geometry that you're talking about a point. So you can either put point A, or you could put just the capital letter. So I could call this point A or just a capital A as well. Or I could say point B or just a capital letter B. So points, you need one letter. One letter. One uppercase letter. You never name a point with 2. All right, a line. I have been teaching geometry for many, many years, and naming a line for some reason is the hardest thing or the most messed up thing that it always happens. So I'm hoping this year is the year that we don't do that. So what a line is an infinite number of points going in a straight line. Yes, I know I use the word line in a definition. Don't tell your English teachers. There's no other way to describe it. But it's an infinite number of points going in a straight line, extending opposite directions. And you have been graphing lines and dealing with lines for many years, it probably seems like now. But you've never had to probably name them. And I don't know why naming a line is difficult or so difficult, but it just always seems to be difficult. So when you name a line, or I guess we'll draw a picture first. So we'll draw a picture of this line right here. A line has to have arrows on the end. If you don't draw the arrows on the end, that is not technically considered a line. So draw a straight segment, put the arrows on the end, and all of a sudden it magically becomes a line because it is extending in opposite directions. So I'm going to put a point A and I'm going to put a point B on my line. And then I'm also off to the side here going to put a lowercase n. And you'll see why here in a second, because there's going to be a couple of different ways to notate this or to name it. Okay, naming a line. This is where it becomes an issue sometimes. Not this year, though. I have high faith in you guys. So the first way that you can name this line is by, like up here when we named a point, we just wrote out the word point and we put a actual point there. We can name this line using the word line. But if you're going to write out the word line, you have to use the lowercase letter here. So I would say that this is line N. If you said this was line A, you're just using an uppercase letter, and when you use just one uppercase letter, it's technically a point. You can't do line A, B. You just can't put 2 points together. It's weird. It's the rules. I don't make them. I just follow them. So you have to use this little letter off to the side. This guy right here is usually not always here, though. From here on out, it probably won't be here. So the writing out the word line is nice, but it's probably not the way that you're going to want to do it because there's faster ways to do it. The other way to name a line is to use 2 points that are on the line. Only 2. I don't know why, but the minute I add an extra point maybe on this line, everyone wants to use as many points as they can. Only use 2 points. So 2 points on this line would be A and B, and I smush them together. And then to show that this is a line, so I have AB, to show that these 2 points together make a line, I draw a line above them. So this lets the reader, me, you, anybody know that there is a line that have points A and B on it. The other way to draw this would be, you could do the opposite with the letters B, A, with a line on it. As long as you're using 2 points that are actually on that line, it counts. So the main thing everyone messes up is that they want to use more than 2 points. So a line only has 2 points. So keep that in mind. Last thing is a plane. And no, I'm not talking about an airplane that I'm sure we all would like to get on and go on vacation right now already in the second week of school. But a plane is kind of like if you think about a 3-dimensional figure, like a cube, it'd be like the top. The top would be considered a plane. It's a very smooth surface. Like in this classroom, it would be the ceiling or the floor or the walls. It is a flat surface. Sorry, I'm left-handed, so I cover up as I write. I try to talk it a little bit more through it. It's a flat surface that contains points and lines. We do not use planes all that often in here. We'll come back to them when we do 3-dimensional figures, which isn't until the end of the year. So I know it seems kind of silly to really chat about them now, but we're going to talk about them now. So what they look like, I mean, if you think about the ceiling, I'm going to get all fancy and draw a parallelogram. So it'll have a couple of points on there, A, B, C. Maybe it's got a line going in here, but it's just a flat surface. They're kind of worthless. We don't really do a lot with them. That's why I'm not stressed out too much about them. Points and lines are going to be the name of the game in terms of these 3 undefined terms. Now, to name a plane, to name a point, you use 1 letter. To name a line, you use 2 letters or 2 points within that line. To name a plane, you use 3 letters. So you would write the words plane. Now, this is the only time, which seems weird, that you actually write the word plane and the capital letters. I don't know why. Again, I don't make the rules. I'm just following them. But you use 1 letter, 2 letters, 3 letters. Point, 1 letters, line, 2 letters, plane, 3 letters. So if you use 3 letters when you're naming a line, I'm going to assume that you're talking about a plane, which is weird. So, and notice that these points are not in a straight line, so that's why you would have to specify that it's a plane. So those are the 3 undefined terms in geometry. Now, we've got other vocab terms to chat about, but these are the 3 that, well, these 2 are ones that we use all year long. Any questions on the vocab? Once we get working with it, I think it'll hopefully help a little bit more. The other thing we're going to talk about today is up here, more vocab. There's a lot more vocab, actually. The term collinear points. A lot of our vocab terms, if you kind of break up the word, like the word collinear, if you break it up, you might be able to try to figure out what it means. So I see the word linear in here, which means line. And if something's collinear, if you like cohabitate or habitate with other people, like you live with them, so, or you're with them. So these are talking about points. So these are points that are on the same line. So collinear points are 2 or more points on the same line. So if you look at a word and you're not 100% sure what it actually means, try to break it up. I see that linear points even, and that means points on a line or points in a line. So like, for example, I'm going to draw a lot of pictures today. Don't judge my pictures. We have X, Y, and Z. And we would say that points X, Y, and Z are collinear. Because they're all on the same line. Which probably seems like duh. You can see that there, but if I tell you, today you're going to have to actually draw things for me. All right, little bit more vocab, and then you've got your little assignment for the day. So we're going to skip postulate. We'll come back to that one tomorrow. On to the next page. We've got these 4, and then we're done. So another term that we are going to be dealing with a lot this year is the term segment. So a lot of people see a segment and they want to call it a line. And if you haven't taken a geometry class, that's probably what you would have done anyway. You would have said, well, that's a line or whatever. A segment, though, is a part of a line with endpoints. So that means that it starts and stops somewhere. So that's what a segment is. It has a starting point and it has an end point. So like if you have a line, I'm going to show you a segment. If you had that drawn, there's no arrows on the end, so that is considered to be a segment. But you're going to put endpoints here, A and B. And notice I said end points, so I'm putting points there. So this is a segment AB. To name a segment, it's very similar to naming a line. You're going to use your endpoints, A and B, and you're going to put a segment over top of it. If I don't put arrows, that means it's a segment. You also could have named this in reverse order because they're endpoints. So both of those are the same thing. Segment AB, segment BA, they're the same. They're talking about this segment right here. It's a piece of a line that has 2 endpoints. All right, array. Array is, do I want to talk about arrays? Yes, I'm going to talk about arrays today. Array is another part of a line. So it's a part of a line with only one endpoint.